All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to a Monday Night Live fantasy fishing show. And I am hosting tonight, the captain, Andrew Full. And so far, we have Brennan Chapman here and Boomer. We are Deaconless, or Sarah Deacon for now. He'll be here eventually. But it's kind of weird leading a fantasy fishing show. It's been a while since I've hosted a serious angler show here live. And Bailey's just not feeling the greatest tonight, so he asked me to step in and run the show. But what's going on, guys?
I think Bailey's going to kick us off. Like
he might.
He's probably got somebody who's going to warn us and be like, "Oh my god, these guys!" All of a sudden, the show's going to go dark.
It might. You never know what's going to happen here. But first, we're waiting on Deacon to get here. But what's new in the hood up in the upper Midwest, Pacific Northwest? Kind of give a recap for what's going on with you guys while we're waiting.
I guess upper Midwest here, it's cooler. we had a big cold front sweep through. Didn't get to fish today or yesterday, so I'm not sure how that's affecting our fishing, but it really did drop 20, 25 degrees. So kind of enjoying that. And getting some yard work caught up. So haven't been on the water, getting stuff done around the house, just been laying low, doing some fantasy fishing.
I feel like it's either been really rainy here in Western New York or it's blown 70 miles an hour and been 95 degrees. There's no in between right now. And today it's 72 and kind of drizzly. So it's a nice reprieve, but yeah.
That's what we've got. 70, 72 drizzly. Yeah.
So
yeah, we have 172.
Oh wow.
No, the only drizzle is the sweat frying off your skin as you get closer to the gate of hell.
Oh yeah, because there was that big heat wave that they're waiting to make its emergence on the West Coast. It's finally there, right?
No, it's hot, dude.
You can keep it.
Yeah, it's a dry heat. It's good though because you know where to go fishing. You go straight to the current, find anything that's moving. We have cool summer fisheries here because we do have a lot of current. We've got a lot of river systems that feed Columbia River and stuff. So I think Saturday I was on Lake Roosevelt, which is a Columbia River impoundment north of the Columbia River everybody else hears about. And it's kind of our little sleeper. It's got mondos in it. There was a couple I swear I saw the state record swimming around in there. It was huge. We argued if it was a carp until it came up and tried to eat our topwater and didn't do it. It was a monster. So,
dang.
If you can deal with the heat, man, we got good fishing.
Yeah, you can keep it. I melt when it gets to be 80 and humid. So I just not a fan.
Yep.
But real fast too, while we're waiting on Deacon, did you guys see what happened in Maui over the weekend?
Yeah.
Very sad. I don't know what the death total count is up to, but me and my wife, we went there for our honeymoon, and I think we spent 50 hours in that city of Lahaina, and now it's completely gone. It's so sad.
Yeah,
so
that's nuts.
I know there's some donation links out there. Stay away from traveling there if you have any plans, but I'm sure just donating could really help the cause to the people over there. Yeah. They're closing in on 100, Brian just put in the comments. So it's one of the coolest places I've ever been in my life, and it's really sad to see what has happened to those people. So it hopefully it rebuilds and stays relatively the same as it was before everything happened. But while we're waiting on Deacon, we might as well talk about St. Clair and get the show on the road. What was your guys' thoughts on that derby?
Well, I don't know. I thought, for starters, I had Cifuentes and Drain the Lake, so I was glad to see that. We were kind of talking backstage, I had listened to a couple of interviews. One of them may have been Mercer's towards the end. He was talking about after his win earlier this year, just talking about the rest of the season, and noted that he was really excited for St. Clair. And just kind of elaborated on drop shotting and how he was really looking forward to that event. And it all shaped up for him. So that was cool to see.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to have cowboy boots, hats, and Wrangler jeans here into the future. It's going to be the new thing.
The new Bass Pro
Not me, but good for him.
Yeah. There's
So
gotta be
you could get a box of worms, the assorted worm tackle kit, and then you can get the cowboy hat kit.
the Wrangler kit, the Bass Wrangler kit, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Oh, that is so good. What'd you think of it, Boomer?
Oh, it was awesome. I was actually really surprised that some of the better scopers didn't do good. And I don't think, I think in a place like that, I don't think just being good at scoping mattered. I talked to Brandon about it afterwards, and I said, I bet there's a little bit of area that was better than other areas. And he said, absolutely.
Yeah, it seemed like the guys who kind of got off of the main group of fish were the ones who excelled. Like they were around the main group, but they were off of it just slightly. They found bigger fish, which is something that I find a ton on my end of Erie. It's like if you're in a group of them, you're not doing any good. You got to like slide off just slightly, and that's where the bigger fish will be. And you get way less bites, but it's usually for the better. So, yeah.
I think you got to endure practice without bites. I think to hunt something like this is my take on it, but I think you got to be okay with knowing there's a biomass over here that will maybe cash you a check, but you got to fish for 2 days and not catch, you know what I mean? And then you'll bounce into that one area that doesn't look good on screen. You know what I mean? That's what I think. I would think, but there were some really good scopers that didn't do really well in that tournament. It was a scope derby. Yeah. So
what'd you think of St. Clair Deacon? Welcome to the party.
Yo,
hey,
yo. Man, I thought it was good. I tuned in less than I thought I was going to be able to, so I didn't see the final day, but I thought it was a great event. I thought it kind of played pretty expected. I guess I heard Boomer kind of saying there was less scoping going on. Is that what I kind of picked up on?
No.
People were scoping, but like what happened was, and this is my opinion, I think people got caught up in just running through tons and tons of fish, which happens on smallmouth tournaments. And the guys who got off of that main group did a little bit better, which is what it seemed like happened. Or they found like the bigger fish within that main group because they live in very small areas as opposed to everywhere. So
totally. Yeah. I feel like that's always whenever it's going to be like a community hole derby, kind of how it was. Like it's very similar to like Florida-esque. Always the person who wins isn't in that community hole. Like you can top 10 in there, do really well, but like there's always that one guy that takes off.
Yeah, and they get harder and harder to catch every day because you have 107 live scope units from each brand pinging off the same fish probably 1,000 times over a span of a week. So they get really weary to it. But before we go into points and drain the lake in all of our groups for St. Clair, we do have a special guest this week. It is not Wes, and I want to get him on here real fast, get an idea of what's going on at Champlain, and then we'll let him get his tackle going. But joining us this week is Bryant Smith himself, who is rigging some rods up, and he's in here. So I figured
perfect timing.
Yeah, figured we would just throw you into the queue right into the fire. What's up, man?
Oh, just living the dream out here. I think I got about 42 alpha anglers out today, and one of them
You don't own that many.
Well,
you don't own that many. I wouldn't send you that many.
It's true. It's true.
So now here, Boomer, this is your time to shine. So I'm going to let you grill Bryant here.
This should be easy.
It's your turn. Yes.
I should. I'll wait until I get some. So because I've traveled with him for so long, I know when it's BS or not. But I'll wait. I might chime in. I know when you switched over to him though, it was his best side. His head was in the box.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's good. So just for everyone who's tuning in, Bryant, kind of give like a synopsis on how Champlain's setting up.
Man, it is going to be it looks like it's going to be another forward-facing sonar tournament. Surprise, surprise, smallmouth in the summertime, but it just is what it is. That's how they're setting up right now. You know, there's a lot of fish offshore. There's a lot of fish chasing bait right now. And if you can get around those, you know, groups of fish, the right ones, offshore, they're not holding on anything except bait. They're literally just chasing bait. The biggest ones I've seen today, they were just chasing bait. And the only way you see those fish is forward facing. So Going to be another one of those tournaments. There's still a lot of good grass out there right now. There's a lot of good shallow like cover, but I gave that a really good shot this morning and I just couldn't figure it out. So, we got 2 more days to break this place down. It's absolutely massive. The big kind of difference maker we got this week is going to be that the water has actually come up a lot. I pre-fished here right after Sabine, and the water was like 4 feet low or something, and now it's almost, if it's not full pull, it's almost above full pull. So
yeah, they've
little
had
change
like
there.
2 huge historic floods up there in the past month. So
yeah, absolutely. I can tell because she's full now.
Yeah, brutal. So I guess
I got a good one for you.
Go ahead, Jake.
What do you think about the tie guys? You think there'll be guys that'll run down a tie?
So if the water didn't come up, I would say no. But now that the water did come up, I'm sure a lot more guys are going to check that. Big problem we have is the first day we're expecting a brutal south wind. So that's going to make that run pretty, I won't say it's undoable, but you got to have some stones to go down there and you got to catch them quick because you got a long ride back.
What is the run down there?
70 miles.
Yeah.
70 miles, and it's straight north-south, so we got a straight south wind, and the forecast is not pretty.
And you're going out of Plattsburgh, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up the weather forecast right now real fast.
It's gnarly. I think the first 2 days.
Yeah, the first 2 days. The second day, I think it switches a little bit to, I think it's more of a west wind, so that'll help a little bit. But, that first day, I'm trying to plan for that first day, and it's not going very well. It's all the fish that I'm finding are on southern facing banks. So,
of course,
got some work to do there.
Yeah, so it shows on here. It's like, can I talk about wind? I don't want to talk about anything I can't talk about. Can we talk about wind?
No, that's public.
Okay, so on Thursday it shows south-southeast at 12. On Friday, south at 10. So that's going to make it a little bit bumpy. It doesn't show the gusts that I have here, but I wouldn't want to be.
Yeah. It's got the straight stretch going from Ty up to Plattsburgh is about 50 miles that it can build. So it doesn't take much to get it rolling out there.
That place is, so bumpy, man.
It is. These waves, like when you come up north, I swear, if you hit a wave, it just hits you so much differently than if you do on a southern fishery. It just jars your body.
Yeah, well, I think part of it has to deal with the way a lot of the lakes are built, since they're glacier lakes. They just literally go straight down and belly out, and then they almost all the lakes in New York lie north to south. So any north to south wind, you're just ruined. Besides the Great Lakes, most of them are. Well, we have one that goes east west, and the other one goes like southwest northeast. But yeah,
right,
fun.
Ryan, one more question for you.
Yep.
How many, or let's say in the top 25 anglers will have largemouth play in their game plan this week?
Good question.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I haven't fished for largemouth yet, so I'm really not sure how well they're biting. I'm definitely going to check it eventually. I just haven't kind of gotten around to it. But with the water coming up, I think they're going to play a little more than they usually do. I still think, I got to say that just based on the past 2-3 years, watching all the tournaments and everything, the smallmouth are going to dominate this thing. But I think there's going to be a few guys that can probably scratch out a check, make a good. I don't know if you're going to make the top 10 cut on strictly largemouth unless you go down to tie and figure it out. But I think they'll be a player for sure. Especially, I was thinking about it today. If that wind blows the way it's supposed to, I might need to go tuck into protected bay and just go, maybe get some bites that from those largemouth. Maybe they'll be a little more protected. You know, all the marinas they got around here, all the docks and everything like that. So that's definitely in my game plan. I couldn't tell you how many are going to get weighed in, but I think it's going to be quite a few with this water coming up.
Makes sense.
I like it.
What do you think? Last question from me. Other than, are you eating better cheddars than salad? The key to like winning tournaments?
Yeah, I dropped the salads, so I think I need to get back
straight
to
back.
Well, no, see, I get my vegetable because I do the jalapeno cheddars now.
Oh, nice.
So
smart
yeah,
move.
The greens are built in now, so we can
Just a
just
chive.
we don't
Just
even
a
have to
chive
worry.
of green.
Yeah, we don't even have to worry about it.
Green.
I think that falls under the living the dream part of this deal.
Yeah,
that's right. And well, good. Since you brought that up, will you tell everybody your dinner program where you load the boat? That's the one I think that everybody really needs to hear about when they want to go after being a bass pro. You tell them about the way you make dinner.
When there's nobody, like launch trip's a little crowded right now, so I probably wouldn't do it right now. But like when I was pre-practicing here, I'd go dock the boat. Obviously, there'd be nobody there at 10:30 at night, so I'd go tie the boat up to the dock. I'd pull my grill out, fire that thing up, leave it running in the parking lot with 2 better cheddars on there. I'd go drive the truck, load the boat up, and then by the time I had the boat back in the parking lot, they were ready to go.
That's called efficiency, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Efficiency.
That's right. Yeah, we don't waste any time out here.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that's
all right. My last real question: what, in your research, what kind of weight a day do you think to make a check?
One.
To make a check is going to be 17 to 17 and a half, somewhere around there. To win the thing,
really?
Probably. Yeah, I just looked it up because I wasn't catching how the bugs are everywhere. You wouldn't ask me one more question to let the bugs just bite me a little longer. Yeah, you can see them because they're huge. Yeah, it was, you know, it bounces between 17 and 17 and a half, you know, maybe a little bit more, but yeah, it'll be around that 17 mark, 34, 35 pounds.
Yeah, it's got to be kind of crazy, like, because I know you live out in Cali. And this is by far the last question. I apologize. But coming to New York and, like, the northern states, when it's like, if I don't catch, like, 17, 18, or 19 pounds, I might not make a check. Like, mentally, how does that make you feel heading into an event?
You know, I was never really good at the Slugfest tournament. So it's definitely tough for me. I like the grinders. I like the ones that, I mean, I don't like the grinders, but I do well at the grinders usually. So being up here where you have to catch them, it's a different mindset for sure. And you could get, you know, if you have one bad day here, if you have a 15-pound day here, which could happen to me, if you have a 15-pound day here on Champlain, your tournament's over. Unless you're going out and catching 23, which is pretty much, it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. It's so hard to play catch up here. So being consistent is absolutely key here. And real quick before I head out, my wife actually brought this up today, and I looked. I am actually closer to Scotland right now than I am to my house.
That's a crazy fact.
Wow. Probably makes her really happy.
Oh yeah. Something like that.
Oh man, that's a great geography lesson for those who are traveling from California to New York. You should know that you're closer to Scotland than home. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Built up.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Brian, thanks for taking the time out. Go get some cheddars on the grill and have a good evening.
Will do. Thank you, boys. I appreciate it.
Good luck. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, bye now. All right. That was cool to have Brian join us. I hope he doesn't have too many bug bites, but I'm sure Boomer hopes he does. But yeah.
Those things are huge.
Just a bunch of little black dots.
The entire time he was getting
one of them hit his phone and knocked it back. Did you see that? Like,
It's like in Jurassic Park for bugs. Brutal.
Oh man.
Woo. Poor Brian. So, but anyways, back to St. Clair. So Bailey could not join us tonight, as we stated, if you're just joining in now. And we'll start off with him here. Let's make sure he sent me his St. Clair roster, and it does not look like he did. So who wants to start it off?
Oh, you're talking about Champlain, right? You keep
Yeah.
saying St. Clair. Oh,
No, because we got to do our points for St. Clair.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So who wants to start it off for St. Clair?
I will.
Go
I
ahead.
can find mine.
All right. So St. Clair, you want to go over fantasy?
Yeah.
Beauty. St. Clair was pretty brutal for me. I had Jay Shakira with an 11th place finish. I'll take that every day. Happy with that. Seth Feider's 70th. Pretty disappointing. Corey Johnston, 25th. Chad Pipkins, 91st. I was like, that pick, it was either going to happen or it wasn't, and it didn't. And I just 91st, like, ouch. And then Alex Redwine, 29th. So I'll take that.
Hey, he had a good first 2 days, and that third day crushed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and Drain the Lake was great, but are we doing Drain the Lake too?
We'll get there after we go through this real fast.
Perfect.
Deacon, how'd you do? Oh, Chap, what was your total points, Brennan?
927. Sorry.
Thank you. No, you're good. All right, Deacon, you're up.
Right. St. Clair, I had a total. Oh, yeah. This is a nice, pleasant surprise. I haven't looked at, well, okay, surprise. I had Taku, which was fantastic. We had red wine, like everyone, it seemed like in Bucket E for the most part. I had Christy, who finished 21st. That was awesome. Chris Johnston, 26th. And lowest finisher, which is a rare lowest finisher, was Mr. Polinick in a whole whopping 46th place. So I had a total of 1231.
Oh, good job.
That's a good one, bud.
Yeah, I think you won that one. Easy.
That's a good
I
week.
I only had 1,073 points or something like that. Not a lot.
Yeah.
I had Walters, who keeps bailing me out all year. He's hard not to take at 21st. Or no, wait, what did Walters have? 27th. Schlapper at 64th, but he started at 38th. I thought, man, I got the dark horse, and then nothing. Corey Johnston, 25th, which that was kind of a comeback for him, wasn't it? And then
I think he started rough and then came back. Yeah.
Yeah, he started in 68th and then climbed up to 25th. Pretty good.
Insane.
Taku in third, and then Sukup, who started in the cut line and then ended at the bottom.
Ooh, nice. So just so everyone knows, I won't be able to update standings because Bailey did not send me his St. Clair point standings. But I will go over mine. I had Hunter with 199, Chris Johnson with 223, who went from 58th to 26th. Then I had Coop, came in fourth, and Chris Seldane burned me with the 75th, and then Redwine in 29th for 1048. So not terrible, keeping me out of last place. So we'll take that. But unfortunately, we cannot update the points because I did not have Bailey's. So, and he missed the first event, and then we had to keep score here on the side for him because he didn't put his picks in, and he had to figure that out. So I'll let him do that math, and we'll figure it out later. But do you want to go over your Drain the Lake first, Brennan?
Sure, yeah. My Drain the Lake was interesting. I had Joey Cifuentes the winner, which was great, but like everybody else was either really bad or just like average. So It didn't really accumulate to like the finish I would have liked. So Ike and Ellie, 73rd, Chad Pipkins, 91st, Hunter Shryock, 38th, Austin Felix, 53rd. That was really surprising. Jonathan Kelly, 24th, Redwine, 29th, Cifuentes winning, and then Norsetter, Kyle Norsetter, 35th, for a total of 1843.
That's a good one. Good job. Deacon?
Drain the Lake. We had a total of dude, Brennan, you and I are kicking butt on Drain the Lake.
It's a $5 winning prize for this one, right?
This was like, what was it? Like something pretty decent out of everybody's box, right?
Yeah, I don't remember it all, but figure it out.
I got a couple Alpha Angler pens I'll donate to the winner of Drain the Lake.
Is it worth $50? It's $50, bud. $50 value.
All
I'm
right.
only saying that because I'm losing so bad. Sorry.
Why isn't my hold up? I'm sorry. It's not.
You want me to go? You want
Yeah,
me to go real quick? Because mine's
Yeah.
up. Yeah. So I suck. I'm in the very bottom. Overall percentage was 64%. I had 1,700 points with Coop, who was awesome. Red Wine was awesome. But 257 was for Jay, 207 for Downey, Corey Johnson, 225, Chris Johnson at 223, Seth Fighter, which I think everybody was really surprised to see at 135 points, 70th place, and Paul Mueller.
That's a good one. So,
Yeah.
Deacon, did you get yours up yet?
We did. All
All
right.
right, go ahead.
I had Pipkins, who was rough deal there. Paul Mueller in 28th, Austin Felix 53rd, Taku 3rd, Justin Hamner 17th. Great tournament for him. That's awesome. Josh Douglas in 66th, Chase Akirat in 11th, and then Red Wine in 29th. So total of 17-13.
You guys all smoked me. I had 1435. Had Zeldane 124, 75th. I had Christie 233, which 21st. I had Pipkins, who came in 91st. Fighter with a 70th, which I did not expect that at all out of him on St. Clair. Shryock at 199 with the 38th. Fouts with a 6th with 276. Gussie 158, and then Red Wine with 217. So Drain the Lake is not my strong suit. I don't know.
No.
I might be. I think Bailey put it all in here, so I might be able to figure out what our points are on Drain the Lake. Yep. So right now for Drain the Lake, Brennan, you are leading with 13,333. You should go play like a win 4 and just run all.
Yeah, for real.
Deacon, you're in second with
now.
Deacon's in second with 13,176. Bailey in third with 12,389. I'm in fourth with 12,235, and Boomer rounding us out in last with 2 goose eggs in his scores at 10,222. So
Yeah,
how'd you end up with 2 goose eggs? Just forget to set it.
I think so. Probably something dumber than that, but I'll just say forgetting.
Fair enough. I was like, oh man, I should be in last right now by a long shot.
An easy way to check who's winning the score, Andy, is just to look at the ranking.
That's what I did, but
Bailey's isn't in there, right?
Bailey's isn't in there for the first event, so I don't have his total points. So I'll send these over to him and let him calculate it. But on to what we're really here to talk about, and that is Lake Champlain. Basically like the golden child of upstate New York. It's kind of crazy how good that lake is, and it's almost overshadowed by like the giants on Lake Ontario, and then you have Cayuga Lake, which is really good, Oneida, Lake Erie, where I'm at. Like, we have some outstanding fisheries, but everyone always puts on like their bio on Bassmaster where their favorite lake is. It always seems to be Champlain.
Dude,
it's wild.
I you know what I think it is? Well, first of all, the versatility that you can go chase green ones and brown ones. But after being up there this last year and fishing the Toyota Series as a co, like I have never seen, and I think Jake Latondras posted about this morning, but I have never seen like it is a gorgeous lake. Like out of all the scenery of like pretty lakes, especially we have a lot of really cool lakes out west, right? That just look awesome. But that place is just, it's almost Alaska-esque to me, like where it's like really steep mountains around it, like the Adirondacks around it.
Mhm.
But then it looks like you're on the ocean. Like it's just I don't know. The place is so pretty. And then you like can go look at 4 and 5 pound green ones swimming around, and then you can go catch big smallmouth out deep or shallow, or throw a freaking top water in 3-foot waves and get crushed. Like it's just, it's a cool place.
There's endless amounts of fish in that body of water. And Brian kind of highlighted it when we had him in here earlier. Like if you catch 15 pounds, you're probably going to finish last. And it used to be on like a lot of lakes. If you caught 15 pounds, you're like, all right, I made a check. I'm surviving. Now here it's like, if you don't catch 17, then if you catch 16, you can come in like 75th. So I anticipate the weights being extremely close, but it seems like whoever wins always wins by like a pound or two on the last day because they just end up catching a giant bag or they come from like ninth to win by a pound or two. It's insane how good that fishery is. And it just seems like with forward facing, it keeps getting better. So what are your guys' expectations for the event?
I guess I'll go. I think it's going to follow suit for a typical Champlain event based on everything I guess I've heard, but I am curious to see what that wind day does, how much wind it really is, and what the ultimate effect is. More curious to see what that does to the grass bite, if it just like destroys that, or if you have to resort to an area that's completely protected to maintain the grass bite. But I think it's going to throw a curveball, but probably a needed one for this to be kind of dramatic.
Exciting. Yeah.
I think it'll be exciting. I really do.
The one thing that it could help though is like you might see a lot, like normally you see a lot of topwater fishing on Champlain, but you might see even more because now you have these grass flats. If they're 3 foot underwater,
right,
you're going to have a lot of bass just roaming on top of grass that a lot of guys are like, why are they here? But they're catching giants doing that. So,
right. More power fishing, more chatterbaits, swim
big
jigs,
glide baits.
Like yeah. Who knows? So it'll be exciting and it'll for sure be close because it's a northern smallmouth event. So it'll be fun.
Yep.
And largemouth.
You guys remember that last year Kyle Hall and Dakota Ebear battled it out up there? I think it was about this time too in an MLF. It was invitational, I think. But that was a bloodbath. Like that was fun to watch. That was last year, wasn't it? Then it was all scoping. Kyle just he took his skills from Ivy and just went out there, and I think Dakota and him practiced. They said one time they practiced there for like 2 months. They moved up there and just lived up there, and all they did was chase him around.
Both of them, yeah. Dakota, I mean, that's how he qualified in the first place for what was the tour, right? Was he qualified to the Northern Division, but he was just living out of a truck up there, found a cool family that kind of took him under its wing and spent, I mean, just has spent a ton of time.
Yeah. That was a cool shootout tournament. It was fun to watch with those two. I don't know why I watched so much of it, but that was a good one. That was before I think they cut some of the coverage on the Invitational, so you could see a lot of the way that tournament laid out. So, anyways, cool fishery for sure.
I think I'm gonna throw out an early prediction. Ready? Like,
love it.
This is gonna be
hot take,
and this is literally coming from when I was there with the Toyota series. The guy who won it was a local, and I don't remember his name, but he wins there all the time. I think he won there this year in the Toyota.
Is it the guy like Mega Bass Vermont Chargers? I can't think of his name right now.
He's maybe it was him, but he's like he goes and catches perch for a living out there. Like that's literally his job, right? Is catching perch on hooks. Like you have to do it with hooks like all day, right? And he knows that place better than like everyone, according to like some of the guys I was staying with up there that live up there. And his whole thing, if I'm remembering correctly, like he was chasing smallmouth, and on the final day he went and caught big green ones, and that's what like sealed the deal. Like I think he had a couple smallmouth, but he had like a 6 and a 7 or some really big green ones. So my
Brian
thoughts,
LaBelle.
water's up. I think that's the name.
Yeah.
And so that my thoughts are with the wind, especially, like I think when it calms down, I don't know if Thai is what it used to be at this point, but it's all over that place, like all that stuff's so protected. It seems like where a lot of the largemouth were. Like I think 2 days of getting beat in the wind and that kind of a thing, and then someone on the final day or when they can run where they really want to get to, they're going to go catch green ones, and it'll be like a mix because of that.
What do you think Jason Christie's going to do? Water rising, largemouth are for sure playing. Like, isn't this setting up to be like a Jason Christie bloodbath?
I feel like any event that you have rising water and there could be like an unknown variable, I feel like Jason Christie's like a dark horse in.
He's my number one choice in that
He's so good at scoping too.
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
But he's the one guy I think that could just walk away from something. Like if I was as good at scoping as he was, I would never do anything else. He's the first guy that'll be like, go over here and throw a frog. You know what I mean?
Catch a
He doesn't
9-pounder
make-
on Lake, and everyone's like, "Where did that fish come from?"
It's like the Polinick play, right? It's like you're out there like doing this, and then you're like, oh, that log. That log. Like, it's just those guys are so natural with that stuff.
They trust their instincts, is what it.
Mhm.
And that's what separates a lot of like good fishermen from great fishermen, and is knowing when to trust and when to stay, like when to go and when to stay. So, yeah, it's gonna be a cool event. I feel like every year Champlain, it's like the same guys in the top 10, but there's always like a sneaky dark horse that pops in. It's like, whoa, what are you doing up there in this event? So I'll be excited to see who it is, but I don't know if it's an event like where you're gonna see a rookie sneak in either.
Where is Christie sitting points wise?
It's a great question,
because that might change his game plan entirely, because he needs to make the Classic for next year on the Grand.
He moved
Although
up
he had a
quite
good
bit.
turn, he finished 21st, so he's probably doing okay now.
let me look. Bassmaster.
I don't think that was enough to move him into the cup though. He
I
was
think
down.
he was right on
He
the
was like
border.
68th or something.
Okay.
I'm looking for.
I had it up.
Guys, have you guys seen Bucket C? It's freaking loaded.
Yeah, sucks.
Jason Christie is currently in 37th.
So he isn't. No, he's one out of the cut.
One, what is it? Is it
36. Mhm.
Oh,
No, that's a good one too.
he's gonna
That's
be
a big
fun.
jump. I swear he was at 60.
Is there a fishing conservative like on a fishery like that when the weights are that tight? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think
like
it's real.
It's
Yeah.
not like it's Lake Conroe though. You know what I mean? Like you're not fishing for like a 10-pound extra bite. Like, you know,
But he puts himself out of it, like just like Bryant said, if he catches 15 pounds. So it might be like go scope and
Mhm.
like get him the first couple days, and then on that final day, he's
Right.
like, screw it, let's go.
right.
Or he
But he's
goes
got
out and
that
he's like-
speeder now, so he can take that long run.
he can,
Yeah.
he
He's
can
not
actually
going to
go.
get clapped out.
And he can't do it at 30 miles an hour
No.
and take his time to get there. He can go. But I
Yeah.
mean, you could,
That's good.
and I wonder how much this is going to play into, like, and that's where I was talking about topwater. Like, you can get on a big mixed bag in a hurry throwing topwater on the right grass flat this time of year, where they're just mixed together. And
Well,
Aaron Martins did it, I think, the last time he was on the Elite Series. He was catching, on the last day, he dropped that huge bag, and he had a mixed bag throwing topwater and grass.
mhm.
So,
That's the thing, like that I didn't realize about places like this, and it's anywhere up north, I guess. But like you can go out there and be in the ocean, right, and just stay in 30 feet of water and do nothing but scope. Like you can do that, and then you can like be like, oh, there's a nice grassland right there, and go up there and there's 5-pound smallmouth that'll eat a spy bait or a topwater or any, you know what I mean? Like it's just crazy how many fish are in this.
yeah,
They're
I
big.
wonder too, like the fish that are out in the ocean, right? I wonder what their main forage base is, because there's a ton of perch in Champlain.
Little bait is what they were on when I was there.
Like, I don't know if
Smallmouth.
they have. I know they have smelt up there. I believe there's smelt, but I think there's also alewives in Champlain because they're in every Great Lake. So I wonder if that's why you see a general consensus of bigger fish chasing alewives, because on all the Finger Lakes, the bigger ones are alewive eaters. But when you get up there in the grass, they become perch eaters. And I think the grass fish and the shallow fish stay there because there's so much perch in that grass.
Perch,
And,
yeah.
and they're all this big to this big. They're perfect eating size. So, I don't know. It's interesting. So, who wants to start off with their picks?
You going E to A?
We can go E to A.
All right. I can start if you want.
Yeah.
E was a tough bucket to me. Looking at things, it was like you have Josh Douglas, and then you have Alex Weatherall, which I don't know his experience on Champlain, but he's in Connecticut, so he's got to be fairly close to there. I didn't find anything on Major League Fishing, but I might have typed in the wrong last name with him. But there's obviously in the opens, they never go to Champlain. So I don't know his experience on Champlain, but he could have, grew up there. Who knows? But I went with KJ Queen. He finished 27th there last year. I'm just thinking in my head through Bassmaster TV shows when he was on live on Oahe, like, just as someone who seems to do well on smallmouth in he seems to always, like, if you look through his every year he's cashing at least one check up north. And so that was my pick in Bucketty.
I like it.
I could see him going out there and scoping and getting after it.
He's going to use that queen tackle, tungsten head, and probably throw it in like a tube like he did at Hawaii and catch him completely different scoping compared to everyone else. Real fast, I'll throw Bailey's pick in. It's Josh Douglas in Group B, and then I'll let Brennan take the floor.
Okay, Bucketty. My fantasy season's not going so hot, so we got some ground to make up. So now we're behind the 8 ball, and we got to change the strategy a little bit. So I'm going to get a little risky in E. Andy, we were talking backstage before the show started. Like, I don't know. I feel like Bradley Hallman is kind of a dark horse in this bucket. You know, he's an Oklahoma guy. Like, you wouldn't think that really translates up north, but I've been following Bradley pretty closely the last year or two on social media, and just kind of watched his attitude evolve towards some of these northern fisheries, kind of trend in a positive direction. So I kind of think he's gonna maybe lock a jig in his hand. I could see that catching smallies, or
he could be the guy that runs the tide, just the flip grass and frog all day.
Yeah. So I look for him to probably just keep it simple and look for things in his wheelhouse, and the dust will settle where it may. But I think he's a sneaky pick. So taking Hallman.
Yeah, the one thing I'd be worried about is, like, I think he was on the Elites though before when they used to go to Champlain, because I feel like from 2000, when was he on the Elites last? Like 2007, 8, 9, right? 10 in that range. I feel like they went to Champlain every year back then. And back then you would win running to the gut and tie south to catch largemouth in a mix. So I wonder how much he has that still like ingrained. And he's like, I need to go down there and check all this stuff that I had in the past.
Sure. Yeah, no doubt. Could definitely play.
So it would be interesting. Boomer?
I took Fouts. Just going to jump right in there. He's got a couple of pretty good finishes on Champlain. One in an open, I think, and then I think he did pretty good last year. I was trying to pull it up, and I'm kind of struggling with my Geek Squad's not working good. I usually can have a bunch of information up, but I'm failing you.
I thought you just called people on the phone and got insider info.
I did. I didn't. I'm just kidding. He had a 17th in an open, and he had a 17th in an open. I can't remember the other one I found. Anyways, but kind of taking some of his momentum off that last derby. He's pretty strong up north. He's a Tennessee guy, but he's a scoper. He's an offshore guy. So
he was technically born in Ohio, so he's probably fished a couple regional events there before he moved to Tennessee too, I would assume. So
I think that was a pretty cool accomplishment for him to get in the top 10 on St. Clair against those guys. Yeah. You know what I mean? Against
he's got that 21-inch live scope screen on the bow of his boat, so like he should be able to see everything.
Yeah. I need that too. Like I need that bad.
I think as we all age, it's something that we're all probably going to end up having on our boats just for the ability to see. So,
dude, that's a myth. Once you get to our age right now, like your late 20s to early 30s. I found this out at the eye doctor. That's like for the most part.
Yeah, your eyes stayed like they go in 6-year increments or something.
Yeah, you might lose like 10% over the next 20 years, but they stay like once you get to that, like whatever your eye health is at that point, that's where it's gonna roughly be.
Yeah, it's not my case.
Yeah, I think the last 4 years the doctors it stayed the same.
Yeah, not me. Mine have degraded, and I'm the guy that's trying to get prescription bifocals in sunglasses. Like progressive sunglasses.
Boomer, you just need to get some cocoons and throw them right over top. You're good.
Just big ones. Yeah. Or I'll just have a screen like Fouts mounted on like a bar stool screwed to the floor, and it's like right in front of me.
Soon enough, dude, you're not gonna have to look in the water. Like you're just gonna, or I mean, you will, but they'll be on your face already. And you're just gonna be like, oh, there's one over there, 30 feet down. Cast.
Yep.
Could you
That's what I would
imagine
need.
like the technology that is going to come out? So, Deegan, perfect. We got the three of you. We got Bailey's in. My pick is going to be Alex Weatherall, as I cannot talk here because we're talking offline, me and Brennan, about it. It's something about guys that live from like Rochester, New York to Maine. The three lakes that they cut their teeth on is like Champlain, Candlewood in Connecticut, and then Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire. And they all kind of have distinct similarities to them. And Middletown, Connecticut is basically like smack dab in the middle of the three of
Okay.
those. So I'm sure Alex has spent a lot of time on Champlain, and I'm counting on him to have a big finish here in Bucket E for his rookie year. I'm hoping that we can see like the emergence of Alex Weatherall on the Elite Series because he's a really good fisherman. So let's hope he has a good event, and I'm going to take him in Group E. All right, Group D. Who'd we start? Brennan, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Let me fire away here. Group D. So I went with Keith Combs here. If you look into Keith Combs, you don't have to look very far in his New York track record to know that it's pretty darn good. He's always been, although he's a Texas guy, he's always been kind of a natural up north and adapted really quickly and really well. So lots of top 10s, lots of top 20s. I don't know, other than a Mille Lacs win, maybe. If he's notched a W up north, but either way, I look for him to have a pretty good event. So,
Series 5 and a Series 6 balloon chartreuse strike king crankbait coming at him.
yeah, and it's gonna blow, so
yeah,
they should eat it, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure with the water being high, it might be a little dingier than normal too.
For sure, yeah.
So I like that pick a lot, and he's had a few tough years, but you can never count a grinder out in an event like this.
No doubt.
So the north is where it all swings. So Bailey's pick for Group D, to no surprise, is he loves to ride the Taku train. So Bailey is taking Taku in Group D. So Deacon, who'd you take here?
Hey man, dude, like here's what I was just thinking about this. I think, and I love how Ronnie Moore loves, sounded anyway. He had a big part of Drain the Lake or that game, right? But it sucks. Like Teams South Florida Fishing is like red wine made the cut in all three northern tournaments. Here, I'm gonna put it up there. He's a steal at 3%, which is like, you're right. It is an absolute steal at 3%. But it doesn't matter if I go pick Taku, who's at a 60%. There's no, you know what I mean? Unless you're really far down in the points. Like I kind of wish there was like some sort of incentive to take like low percentage picks, because at the end of the day, like Taku is at 60%, but I still have more confidence in Taku finishing higher. Now it could be like Alex Redwine's a stud and he's great up north. So I hope he does really well, but Taku is my pick in D. And just too good at scoping, and he pre-practiced the crap out of that place.
Well, here's another. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, in general, that's a good observation. It would be cool, maybe a hint for Bassmaster, like if there was like a bank account or a value that you started with at the beginning of the year, like fantasy football. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like you had to, you had to make smart decisions with your budget throughout the course of the season. It's a lot more strategy that way. It'd be cool.
Agreed.
Yeah, make the points worth more if you take a 2%er that just cranks on them. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if you're going to go that route of taking like a low percentage guy, another guy in this bucket, and that's not my pick, but I'm just going to talk about it real fast, that always does well at Champlain, and he always catches them on top water, is Kobe Krieger. I think the last time they were there, he finished like 7th or 8th throwing a spook for 4 days up at Rouse's Point, and he caught a mixed bag every day throwing a spook in like 5 foot of water.
Dude, you want to talk about one of the most exhausting bites of all time? Go throw a spook for 4 days straight. And
spook and a jerkbait, make that your 1-2 combo. Tell me how
you get done at the end of the day, and your arms are just like levitating. You can't even help it. You're just like...
Oh man, I'll tell you this real fast, Brennan. I've been on like a spook jerkbait bite on the Niagara here by my house. After like 4 hours, I'm like, I pick up a swim bait because I'm like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm just shot now. I have a guide trip tomorrow, and it's gonna be like low clouds and rainy and very little wind. We're gonna go throw topwater all day for Great Lakes smallmouth. I can't wait.
Dude, I've got a tournament coming up in 2 weekends, and they're already saying it's going to be over 100 degrees, and they're going to be on points, and it's going to be spooks and flukes, and I'm already like, not looking forward to it. Yeah, like I'm already like getting in shape for it. Just conditioning, just preparing casts all day at work, practicing. But it's going to be hot.
It's fantastic. All right, Boomer, who you got?
I got I got Smallmouth Disneyland. I got Taco. His boat is Smallmouth Disneyland, so
it is.
I mean, I don't know how you can't. He bailed me out of the last tournament. He's a scoper. He loves it up there. It's tough for me, and I actually like. I'm going down this list, going, yeah, I think this is a strong second place, and I can't find one. I think Pipkins is a dark horse a little bit. I think he's mad about last week, especially with the amount of work he put into last week, but. St. Clair.
His Lake Erie fish let him down. I think he was one of the few guys that ran to Erie, and they just disappeared on him.
One thing about Taku that I don't think people really talk about too is like, although he's not from America and you'd think he's newer and maybe not familiar with these places, like you better believe his work ethic and like his motivation. He's pre-practicing at every single one of these bodies of water, typically for quite a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've heard he literally does nothing but fish.
Yeah. I mean, he's like super honorable to his family. It's all about working extremely hard, knowing that he's away from them. So he puts every ounce of it into pre-practicing. So, and he's getting like relatively new information on these bodies of water, not, information from a guide from 15 years ago in some cases for some anglers.
Yeah.
Just being honest.
Brutal. Is what it is, though. It's the way of the past, and it kind of continues to roll on behind closed doors. But that's a different topic for another day. For Group D, I'm taking a dark horse here, and somebody who always does well at Champlain, and he's a big winder. I'm taking David Mullins. He's due for a big turnaround. He always does well at Champlain. I think he's been in the top 10 the last 2 times they've been there. Throwing a deep diving crankbait somewhere, Rouse's Point north on the Plattsburgh side. So he's not going to have a terribly bad run if that's where he goes again. So that's who I'm taking in Group D. Treble hooks and smallmouth scare me, but it's a great way to get him fired up too.
Didn't he have that tournament won technically? And because of the treble hooks, he didn't win?
Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the year that Polinick won, he had it probably won too. I think. Yeah. I think that was the event where he basically had it won as well, just lost him.
Yeah. It's terrifying, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Rick said it one time. I read it in an article and I wrote it down. When the water goes over 60 degrees, smallmouth caught on a treble hook, your landing percentage falls under 50%. Because their mouths get so soft and they have so much energy. I 100% believe if it's not 50%, it's 60, but it ain't much more. I think you have a really hard time landing them. Yeah. Their mouths get so soft and they're so strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I guess it really depends on the treble hook bait for me. I feel like they throw a crankbait better than they throw. Like, I feel like Boomer, the tournament we fished last year, up on Coeur d'Alene and on Pend d'Oreille, right? We caught a pile of fish on a jerkbait, and we lost some, but it was like 80-ish, I would say. Like it was better than I had anticipated, but we had it dialed, right? But like
I agree with that.
I think those fish are different too up there because I think their mouths are built different, the way they're eating things. But
and I think it's a bait that they can come from the front of. Where a lot of times with like a rattle trap or a crankbait, they have to come from behind. Those are the ones I think
they always get back
troubles. Exactly. That's
but like a topwater, I still throw topwater for smallmouth in the heat of the sun. You know what I mean? Because they generally, when they get it, they're screwed. They got one in the back of their ear and one in their. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's got 3 trebles.
Or it's like
the hot spot is 3 trebles on the topwater. It has
Rumor. I hook my fish way nicer than that. Mine are always really delicately hooked. You're a bad person for hooking them like that.
I got an A-rig with trebles on the back of it.
You conventional bastard.
Just to be mean.
Yeah, just Yeah, especially with small.
Wow.
That's
Unreal.
hilarious. That's good. Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, Bailey's gonna shut us off of any minute. He's gonna wake up and be like, "Oh my god, just shut the whole thing off."
Yep.
Canceled. They're all canceled. All right. Group C. Brennan.
Dude, Group C, plain and simple. Next 2 tournaments, I'm going Paul Mueller. Well, wherever Paul ends up after this one, whether he's in A, B, D, or E, I'm going Paul the next 2. Paul Mueller always has one giant tournament every year. He hasn't had that one yet, and it's probably going to happen at the next one.
He's got a top 10
sure.
already. So you never know.
I mean, he'll have a good one at the next one, like 99.9% sure. But I think he's going to have a good one here too. He's a Candlewood guy, very familiar with this lake, can do it all. And he's a live scope guru too, absolute nut. So I look for Paul to have a great tournament.
I like it.
That's
Bailey's pick real fast for Group C was Gussie. He's going with the scoping man with the Demiki rig out deep. So that'll be interesting to see if they'll eat his 5-inch Smeltinator jig head with I can't think of the Z-Man bait that he uses off the top of my head at the moment, but this is not the streaks, whatever their 5-inch bait is. But I mean, they'll eat it.
I'll eat it.
Yeah.
If it's sauced in bait fuel, they will. Just absolutely sauced.
Drain.
Load it up.
Yep. Just
The engineer in me cannot get over the fact that it's
underwater in bait fuel.
I can't get over the fact that it's water soluble. Like in my brain cannot fix that. Like when it goes in the water, it's gonna come off. That kills me. I can't get through that. Like, well, how long is it gonna stay on there? It's water soluble.
Dude, it's marketing, you know? It's not science, it's marketing. Okay, moving on. We're getting canceled.
No, this is good.
But it pisses me off to no end. I'm like, all right, the best way to do it is to get a syringe and go down the middle of the bait and fill it in. So it's like leaching out the sides. Because if you just rub it on there, it's going to come off. It's water soluble. It's like,
It's funny though that you say that. Like, I've put bait fuel on like the Elastector Strike King, and I put it on Z-Man. And Z-Man, it does weird stuff to it, but the Strike King version, which is the same proprietary plastic, it like doesn't make the bait swell up or get bigger. It kind of like bubbles and becomes like porous out the side of it. It's really weird. And
Brennan,
that's when I finally like,
what does that mean? What's the difference there?
Yeah, the plastic guy.
Not the same thing.
They're both TPE plastics.
Yeah,
which is the Elastec. It's called the TPE plastisol.
Okay.
You want to mess up a bag of baits? Pour some of that in a Yamamoto bag.
Or any regular plastisol plastic, and it'll screw it all up for sure. Yeah.
You can't, within a half an hour, you can't see through the bag. You know what I mean? Like, what was this?
Right.
Dude, yeah.
Oh,
Have you ever had like a bag of Senkos get a little bit like leave it out in the rain or something? It's just ridiculous.
They get like all salty and they like crumble.
And they get big though. They get big and salty, and then you're just like, holy cow.
Yeah. And then even softer, they disintegrate faster than normal, which is insanely fast.
You cast 9 off instead of 6 off per day.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, we're just roasting everybody. Who's next?
Know, like, dude, I'm not roasting
who else?
So thousands of stupid things.
I'm gonna stay quiet this episode because of the big roast that I did a few back on a fantasy fishing show.
Multiple times.
That was the best
every time.
Yeah.
And he lost a couple sponsors.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And I've been tempted to go and like buy them again and try them, but I pick them up. I'm like, yeah, no.
You're making it worse, dude.
No, I'm sorry.
Hey, this is good. I like this because this stuff doesn't get talked about. But I got a question for you guys.
Sure.
On this trend. I really like the Polinick special from a drop shot and a Neko rig and a Senko, Wacky Rig Senko hook, the VMC ones, right? Like those VMC ones. I really like that specific hook for those purposes.
It's a good hook.
The red line ones, the new whatever, fancy ones they're making with the that coating and that whatever. I think I like them the same, but I haven't put much time behind them. But I found one that had a little bit of rust on it after just a little bit, and I was like, huh. But have you guys used any of those at all? The new BMC red line hooks?
My issue with them is they're too expensive.
I haven't myself, but I use a lot of the nano coated hooks, like a lot of Japanese stuff, dude, like Ryugi's, you name it.
I use those. Yeah.
From like giant quad trebles, for glide baits, like 8-ounce, 10-inch glide baits, to little tiny Nico drop shot hooks, whatever. One thing I've noticed with those is like they do rust pretty easily.
Oh, okay.
And it'll rust like fairly intense. And I'm not talking about VMC Redline. I'm just talking about in general, these nano coated hooks. They're slippery smooth and they're great, but like they will rust.
Okay.
Quick.
And the other thing I found with them too is if you remove them too fast out of a fish with pliers and you go to do it again the next time, they just break. I've broken so many recently, just snap in half on me. Like pulling them out of fish. I'm like,
interesting.
Yeah.
Like tiny, like little ones? Like
the little ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, come on. I've actually 2 tournaments ago on like a Wednesday night series, I set the hook into a fish after I removed the hook out of the fish with pliers. And literally I came back with a half a hook.
You got too strong hands, Andy.
Yeah, spinning rod with 6-pound test. My drag spins if I reel.
All right, fair point. But I mean, I'm talking about on your pliers. Like maybe you're like, you know what I mean?
I got to a point where like
firm with the grip, bro.
I don't even use pliers on them. Like I stopped doing it. Now I use split ring pliers just so I can like push on them instead of like twisting. Because I'm afraid I'll break them.
Just manhandling.
It's like you need a new hook. What hook is that, by the way?
The Ichikawa CT5.
Okay.
And Ryugi Fog Shot. They've both been breaking on me.
Oh wow! So what's your new? You're my guy when it comes to drop shot. Like
those are still the only 2 drop shot hooks you need.
Still, even though you keep breaking them.
Yeah, with pliers. Don't use pliers on them.
Okay, fingers only.
Yeah, fingers only, or split ring pliers. Something real little. But yeah, those are the only 2 hooks I'll use. The CT5 in size 2, 3, and 4. And the fog shot in the same size, depending on what bait you're using. And I've actually found recently the smaller the hook I use, the higher my land percentage has gone up.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to know why?
Because it's just getting buried and they can't shake it and
No.
make a big hole. All right, engineer.
Well,
let's hear it.
Brandon showed me one time because we were using size 4s, and it goes into the skin and then pins. It always goes past the barb.
Yeah.
That's the better way to say it. It always goes past the barb into the skin, and it hooks itself in there because it's so small that the eye sticks in there and the barb can't come out. No matter what they do, they can't pull it. He was showing me that like years ago.
Yeah.
And he was also big about the coating. He said, if you get coated hooks, make sure that they design the hook for the coating. Because if you just take a hook that's a good hook and then coat it, you kill the barb. The coating gets rid of the gap in the barb. A lot of these companies are coming out with hooks that you actually design the hook to allow for the coating because you're going to get rid of that barb gap.
Yeah.
And I only drop shot with a 4. Like if I open nose or a nose hook, if I can get away the 4, I'll always throw it because it'll get stuck in their skin. They can't throw it.
Yeah. My big size that I really like is the size 3 because it's so versatile with like the size baits that I can run on it. But 4s, I did find when I thrown a 4, I do get way more fish in the boat, but I break a lot more of them too with players. So 3 is like my happy spot. But like that's my
drop shots are fast and fun though. So who cares if you break hooks, Now
that leads us into like an interesting thing, and I'm not throwing shade at this hook because it's an awesome drop shot hook. But you're talking about the barb and how they manufactured hooks. Or just coated hooks, right? The Gamakatsu G Finesse has the tiniest little barb you'll ever see on a nano coated drop shot hook. And I loved them like 5-6 years ago when I started getting really efficient with the drop shot. And then I started losing literally like every fish I hooked. And I figured it was because of that barb. And then as soon as I found the fog shots, I stopped losing them.
Yeah. That was one of those hooks that I think they added coating to. Perfect design. Why change it? but the coating's just too much or something. I don't know.
I
That's
love
but who
those
knows?
hooks that when they're not coated like that. Those are my probably most of the time drop shot.
But here's the weird thing: take like the original split shot drop shot hook and put
Yeah,
it
that's
next to the G Finesse hook, and they're two entirely different hooks.
Yeah, I've never done well with the G Finesse in any capacity. Any of
Do
even.
you remember when like the owner Mosquito was the drop shot hook to have? Not that long ago. It is crazy. Like it hasn't been that long that we've come a long way with drop shot hooks, dude. Like the last
Mosquito
3 or
hook's
4
decent,
years.
but you better have that drag cinch and you better pop that fish. So because it's so thick, but the Mosquito Light is good. It's just so thin.
Mosquito
that they bend
Light
out.
is
Yeah, I've got
that is the Mosquito Light is the Shasta Nico rig hook. That is it gets them good.
It's a great hook. It
Man,
just flexes out way too fast, in my opinion.
that's because you got so much muscle and you pull so hard.
I got little arms. I stopped weightlifting a few years ago. But we should get off this tangent and continue.
Lure Lab.
Yeah.
The Lure Lab.
Lure Lab.
We're
So
deep. We're deep.
we're deep in the drop shot hooks because we're in a drop shot tournament. So we got. Did we do Bailey's pick? Yeah, Gussie.
Who cares?
Who's next? Boomer.
Oh, wait, where are we at? Sorry.
C.
We're on E, right? C.
C.
Corey Johnson. Corey Johnson is fishing downhill. He started in the middle of the pack, middle of the year. He had a bad beginning to St. Clair, and he went from 68th to 25. He's fishing downhill. I think the rest of the season for him is going to be strong.
Well,
I mean, he's also 30%, so I'm kind of, but it's hard to take. Yeah, I like a guy that starts bad and then he's just downhill grind. I like it.
Good
I like it. Deegan.
Yeah, I had Gussie. Gussie, man, I really don't pick Gussie enough for how well he does often, and man, I just can see him out there scoping fish and doing just fine. Relaxed is all good.
Yeah, 22nd in the points too. He's hard to ignore.
Yeah, I mean, if Bart was still here, we know who he would be taking in this event. It would probably be Austin Felix.
Literally,
but we're not going to take. I actually thought about taking Felix because he's been very quiet this year. I think he had a decent event at St. Clair with the whole debacle boat issue he had. But I'm taking a local guy here. I tend to stay away from Jamie Hartman because he's very unpredictable. But Champlain is one of those lakes that he always shows up at and has a really good event. So I'm going to pick Jamie Hartman to finish in the top 10 in Group C. And if he didn't have battery issues, I think it was the last time they were here 2 times ago, he probably would have won on the Carolina rig. He was catching some big smallies.
He does love doing that.
Yeah.
That is a dark horse. I would have never thought of that one.
Do you guys find yourself? I feel like this weekend I was practicing for a tournament here on CJ Strike, getting all these new lakes here that I've never been to in southern Idaho or central southern Idaho. And so it like fish are out, or the in my opinion, the bigger smallmouth are out right now. And normally I'd be picking up like a drop shot Ned rig or a heavy Ned, a Carolina rig, jig, small jig, or a tube, right? But I found myself just with how much scope has played for me the last 2 years. Like I don't want to pick up a Carolina rig. Like, I didn't even tie one on. Like, and there's the stuff I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, this is money. But I find myself picking stuff that I can like drop on their head always. And it's just, it has changed it. But it's like, do you feel like it'll still play in an event like this where someone will pick up a Carolina rig?
Dude, I feel like sorry. I mean, I guess I feel like at this point too, like there's just anglers that like have evolved with forward facing sonar enough to the point where they're going to almost like force them to eat up if they can, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or they will push that so hard until they have to fish down. You know what I mean? So like you can cover water and make fish eat up and just keep moving, you know, sometimes. So
sometimes. Yeah, that's why I feel like this event is with the higher water. I feel like you're going to see a lot more fish feeding. You're going to have your guys that are way offshore, but I think you're going to have guys that do really well because when the water comes up, the other thing that happens is the thermocline comes up and it pushes more fish in usually. And it's getting to that time of year where you're going to start seeing thermocline start sneaking up. And I'm pretty sure Champlain is one of those lakes that does have a thermocline on it. So and I'm sure it's starting to creep up pretty quick.
That's interesting knowledge. That's a
Yeah.
northern guy.
Yeah. You'd think it would blow out the thermocline, you know, kind of just mix it all up, but just depends on how it came in. If it came in a river system, if it came in a bunch of runoff, yeah.
Yeah, so like, and I'm just going off of like the Great Lakes, like what I know about the Great Lakes, and Champlain kind of sets up. It's similar, but it's not similar because it's a lot shallower. But I mean, even when we get a big blow, what happens is the thermocline, it will push it into the bank and push everything super shallow, and then it'll slowly settle back out deep. So what happens is that the lake turns over, it makes everything flood the banks anyways because the cooler water pushes shallow. So all the bait fish go shallow, all the perch go shallow, so all the fish have to follow all that shallow. And that's like a lot of salmon fishermen know that information. They pay attention to when the lake flips because that's when it pulls that thermocline shallow and it brings everything in. And you have a shot at catching like a 30, 40-pound king salmon at night because the lake flips. And then as it starts to settle, all the smallmouth, the largemouth, and the pike will show up like a day or two later. And then just slowly trickle back out to the deep. So it's very interesting. I don't know. I've never been to Champlain, but I'm sure in my knowledge of thermoclines, it's kind of similar. I'm thinking. Hopefully,
Dude,
I'm not wrong. But
with how close you are, you need to get up there.
It's not that close. It's
not that close.
8.5 hours for me to Plattsburgh.
That's farther than I thought. I guess I didn't fly in yet.
Yeah.
But
For me to get to Clayton, it's 5.
Right. I felt like it was okay. Maybe you're in a different. I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I think it's like 500. No, I don't know how many miles. I think it's like 330 miles to Plattsburgh or something ridiculous.
You poor thing. Ask Boomer and I about driving.
Yeah, you guys can keep doing.
It's 4 hours to the grocery store, Andy.
You can keep it.
Yeah, got to pack gas just to go to the grocery store.
All right, back on topic. Group B. Brennan.
Group B, Brennan. Okay. I went Pat Schlopper here. Like I said, I got ground to make up. He's 0.8% owned. He's a northern guy, grass, oriented angler, and he's a good dude. So I'm going Pat Schlopper. So
Love it.
Good dude fact.
He's just a good dude, which is icing on the cake. And it's
dude catches them.
Yeah, it's the juju that I need. So
I like it. Deacon.
B, man. I go back and forth like on the Johnstons and which one and that kind of a thing. But I went with Chris in bucket D. And I'll probably pick him again on the St. Lawrence, or one of them for sure.
It's probably smart.
Bailey has taken Fighter because I feel like every time they go to Champlain, since he's been on the Elites, he's been in the top 10.
Dude, the videos of Fighter on Champlain are just forever live in my head. Like the same one of those things, just over and over in the same spots. Like he just
that's northern fisheries, man. Like nothing changes hardly ever. They might move like 15 feet north, south, east, or west.
Right.
But those fish just live in the same areas. And if you got a couple honey holes, usually it stays the same year over year. It's kind of ridiculous.
Wild to me, dude.
Nothing changes. Boomer.
I just want to start by saying that this group sucked. This is the biggest group of super versatile grinders that have it could be any one of these cats. And I honestly believe if there's somebody that should win this tournament, it'll come out of this group and not out of A. That's my belief. But I grabbed Cooper. I think his last tournament was good. I think he's got some blood in his eyes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a little bit of everything going for him. And anyways, he was a pretty high pick. He was 11%. But I watched a couple of his interviews after that Claire event. I just think, like I said, I think he's fishing downhill too. But how do you not take Brock Mosley or Schlapper? That's a tough one. Schlapper saved me in the last one. Chris Johnson.
Ike and Ellie might have the most experience on Champlain out of anyone in the Elite Series.
I think it was Champlain that qualified him for the Elites. It was an open on Champlain. It was like his last one or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a crappy group. Anyways.
Yeah, it is what it
That's
is.
a tough one. It's a tough one.
I'm taking fighter with Bailey. I mean, there's just something about Seth in Grass Lakes that have largemouth and smallmouth that he does well. Cayuga, Champlain. So it's hard not to take him. So
It's just
fighter
like
for
home
Group B.
for him.
It's home.
Seriously.
It's like Minnetonka in the Northeast.
It's like home. He'll be just fine.
Yep. So all right, Group A, Brennan.
Group A, plain and simple. I went Brian Schmidt. Dude, I don't really have much to say. I mean, look at his track record here. And we were talking about this backstage, Andrew and I. I think I had picked him for the Mississippi River event last year too, and he had a FLW win. And he was able to follow it up with a Mississippi River win last year too. So I'm hoping he can keep the streak alive of keeping streaks alive and winning events like he should. So.
And now I could be wrong here, but doesn't he have like an FLW win, an Open win, and an Elite Series win on Champlain?
I know he's got an Elite Series win, and I'm 90% sure he's got an FLW win. I don't know about an Open.
And win. I'm pretty sure he won an Open as well.
Okay, I know he's got a fantastic track record here. So, I mean, dude, he's going to sniff out any grass bite that's going on. And I know it's going to be going on, but he's going to find the best of it. Yeah. He's way too good in the grass to not find what's there.
Love it.
Somewhere.
Deadliest on the East Coast, man, out there ever.
Yeah.
Like he's just one of the you can't beat him on the East Coast.
Yeah, I mean, he found a tiny nugget on the Mississippi River in some grass,
right?
Like something that nobody would have ever done to win that tournament, and he did it. So he'll find it.
It's fantastic. So Bailey went right with you and took Schmidt as well, and I think it's such a good pick. It's hard to bet against him. Deacon,
for real.
Yeah, we're all talking this, and I had him clicked and I took him off. So I'm going just a straight gut pick on someone who just had an 11th place finish on St. Clair, and that was fairly expected. But for being how good he is in his second rookie season, but Jay Shakira, I'm going in A. Just think he knows smallmouth so well, and he's another one that's like, depending on where he ends in which bucket, probably going to pick him on the St. Lawrence, right? Like, so it's just, but just someone for me that I don't know how much experience he has there. And what's crazy is he didn't have any, like you're saying, we're talking about all this, like how Northern fisheries, like I've always thought to myself, if you're ever going to make a run at it, like you need to spend every summer just up north because rocks don't move, right? And like finding stuff that you're going to use for the rest of your career. But like, dude, it was like what, his third day ever being on the St. Lawrence when he won. Like that's insane to me. Like he just hadn't spent any time there before. And it's such an incredible place and massive, right? And he can go and win because he knows smallmouth. Like that's kind of why I went with him.
Jay's a great pick here because he could walk out of his house right now, pick up a rock out of his driveway, throw it, and it would hit a lake just like Lake Champlain.
Really?
Yeah. Just, his part of the country and, mid-central northern Wisconsin. So, great choice. Plus the dude's, I mean, he grew up on Great Lakes. So
he's fishing well. Like this is, he's obviously, if we haven't noticed, he's in bucket A here. He's here to stay in the Elite Series for a very long time.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. Boomer.
Lame ass Polinick.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll just say it. Like, I feel like in Group A, there's a couple wild cards that you can choose from, but it's always Schmidt, Polinick, Fighter. It seems like are the three that are duking it out for 1, 2, 3. So, yeah.
Well,
say that
he's super.
Polinick last derby, 45th, man.
I know, but he's super.
St. Clair is one of those places,
which is not bad, right? But in bucket A, it's not good.
St. Clair is one of those places that you could catch 19 pounds a day and finish 50th. Champlain, it's if you catch 19 pounds a day, you're in the top 10, and I feel like that sets up to his strength.
Also, just the diversity of like that typical, like we were talking that cerebral part of your brain, or where it's like, hey, go hit that largemouth spot, or like, oh, I'm going to flip for largemouth for 30 minutes right on this little stretch, and then you catch a 5-pounder, and it, like those little decisions he makes.
And I think that's what helps Fighter and Polinick here is because they always have a mixed bag, and so does Schmidt.
Always, yeah.
But Brandon is that kind of fisherman. He's like, oh, there's a there's a stick over there, and oh, there's a rock over there. And then you put him on a fishery like St. Clair, where it's a casting competition. He doesn't always do very well in those. You know what I mean? He needs to kind of look over and see that, and the Schmitz are opposite. That dude sees a grass bed and he just sees, hey, I'm covered for an hour. I'll find him in here somewhere. Where Polinick is more of like, hey, there's a dock over there and a boat ramp over here. And he'll fish all 5 of those things. I mean, how many different ways did he fish? Oops, I just hit my thing. How many different ways did he fish the back of beeswax? I mean, it was incredible. One second he had a drop shot.
Who he is.
And then front. Yeah.
Or like think about what's the other one? His win on Santee. Like, I mean, that was it. Like he'd be up shallow and then he'd be on a brush pile. He'd be up doing this and then he'd go jerk bait a pile. Like, you know what I mean? Like just always going back and forth.
It's like controlled chaos, fishing with an open mind, but you know exactly what you're doing. It's crazy.
Yeah, he told me one time that he's got a severe case of what's around the next corner. Like it's totally, and that's the way he is about it. He's like, I wonder.
But as a fisherman, that makes you like so dangerous because all it takes is to check 75 different things in one day. And if you get 5 bites, if you hit 5 of the right things in that day and you get the 5 bites that you need, they're going to be big because you're just running different stuff than everyone else.
It's the Brian Thrift theory, right? Make 100 decisions today. You just got to make 5 good ones.
Yeah.
Yep. The hardest part for most anglers is making the 100. We want to get comfortable. We make a good decision to catch a fish. We want to quit making decisions and just do that for half an hour. Brian Thrift said one time, he goes, every time I catch one after a decision, like 5 minutes into that decision, it's always like 45 minutes before I realize, man, I haven't caught a fish since I made that. You know what I mean? Like, how you catch one, you move over and you catch one, you're like, oh, this is the thing to do. And then an hour later, you're like, that wasn't the thing to do. You know what I mean? I think he's got like a timer. Like, bing, it goes off 15 minutes later, he's gone. But I think what he's doing is he's making 100 decisions. I think it's hard to do in a day. Anyways.
Yeah. I enjoy fishing that way. Like for Great Lakes smallmouth fishing, I've almost turned into that type of fisherman where I need to run as much stuff as I need because everyone has forward facing now, right? Like everyone can scope them on boulders, and I put it right in my brain every day that I go out and fish a tournament. I'm like, I am running 75 to 120 rock piles and boulders today because I only need 5 fish to bite, and they just have to be the 5 right ones. But if I can run enough rock, I'm eventually going to get 5 big bites, and I won't throw at a boulder 30, 40 times. I make 2 casts and I'm gone because they're smallmouth. They're going to eat or they're not going to eat. So it's my opinion on it. It's worked somewhat okay this year. Last year it was better, but this year it's worked okay. So wait, Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is going to take the win?
I went 74-7.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
That's light.
Mm-hmm.
Even after hearing Brian's prediction, the 17 for a check is what he said.
Yeah, I went 74-7. I'm going on the light side, yeah.
But you're saying 18 and a half a day.
I think that's 18 and some change. Yeah. I don't think like I'm severely undershooting it, but I'm low.
Yeah. I'm at 82.5. I'm not too far behind you. I mean, I see some big days, but with the wind and everything, there's a 16, 17 pound day for the winter, maybe. You know what I mean? And then he has a comeback couple days.
Mm-hmm. Deacon?
Man, I'm fairly high compared to that. I'm at a 79.15, just under 80.
Bailey's at 90 pounds, 12 ounces.
Gosh.
He says they're catching giants every day, and it's going to take almost 22 and a half, roughly, right? Like, I think that's the way that math would add up.
8 pounds follies on frogs for that way. It's just going to be unreal. The best coverage you've ever seen.
Like, if somebody catches a frog smallmouth during this event because the water is high, it could happen. I will lose my mind. It would be the cool. And if they get it on live, it'll be the coolest thing ever. Like, what? I think the last time we saw a brownfish eat a frog was Lake Havasu, and Edwin Evers caught it, if I remember correctly. Like way up the river.
I don't remember.
Yeah, and that was forever ago. So I'm I'm right around 83. I'm going to put it in now. I had 86. So I'm dropping it a little bit because I forgot about the high water. So I'm going to go 83.10. Because I think still you're going to catch, somebody's going to have a day where they just get on a giant bag of smallmouth and they'll catch like 21 and a half to 23 pounds. But in that, they'll have like 4 above average smallmouth, 4 Champlain, and then they'll have like a 5 to 6 pound kicker largemouth. Like you've seen Fighter do, you've seen Brandon do it, you've seen Schmidt do it. Like I feel like that's what it's going to take to win. Who has both patterns and who can survive the wind longest and have the best largemouth plan up north is going to win this event. All right. You want to run through Drain the Lake real fast and then we'll call it an evening?
Sounds bueno.
All right. So real fast, I'll kind of run through Bailey's real quick. He has De Palma, Fighter, Fujita, Kamara, Schmidt, Stryak, Weatherall, and Hartman. And then Brennan, go ahead.
All right, I got Brian Schmidt, Alex Weatherall, Seth Fighter, Greg DePalma, Jacob Faust, Jeff Gustafson, Jamie Hartman, and Keith Combs. I think that's a good team, boys. I'm pretty happy with that.
Deacon?
Go ahead.
Go ahead real fast. Say what you're going to say.
If I don't do well in this one, I just give up. But I got Erie, Martin, Polinick, Smith, Bryant Smith, Mosley, Cruz, Felix, and Gustafson.
Make sure you hit 6.
That's got to have some points in it.
Yeah, agreed. Deacon.
All right. I've got Zaldane, Weatherall, Hartman, Gussie, Fujito, Fighter, Schmidt, and Ed Loughran, guys. Is someone
good pick. Great pick.
Great.
I was thinking about him on after of course he did all our picks, then went over to Drain the Lake, and I was like, crap, he's done well there a bunch.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is another one of those like East Coasters, right? Like they just that's where their championships are. That's where just a big event.
He's a flipper, swim jigger. Yeah.
It's like if you get somebody from Maryland, Virginia area, they always do well at Champlain, like a Porosnik as well. So
Yeah,
I have – go ahead, Deacon. Sorry.
No, I just said that's another person we haven't really talked about.
So I have Cifuentes. I have Felix. I'm going to put him in here as I'm doing it so I don't forget to hit save and pull a Bailey. I also have Hartman in my Drain the Lake. I have Paul Mueller, Polinick, Schmidt, Porosnik, and Schlapper. Is who I'm going to take for Drain the Lake.
I'm just glad finally in Drain the Lake we're to the point where like been saving all these northern guys the entire year, and it's like yes, now you're
Good.
Go.
Yeah, and part of my thought process too is like, okay, who can I put in here that's not going to kill me for what you would call it for Champlain, not Champlain, but for the St. Lawrence.
St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
You use up the Johnstons right here, Andy. Just
them both.
I'm not
use
I'm
them
not
up.
that
Yeah, use them both at the same time right here.
Perfect.
Definitely don't use them for the next one.
Yeah.
No, they're already in saved. So
I can give you more advice if you
Can't
like.
wait to see the percentage on those two at the next one.
Yeah.
90.
That advice was free. You don't even have to pay for it.
No, it's good advice. I appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy.
So real fast, what happened to Bernie Schultz?
He separated his bicep muscle lifting a TV, I believe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a TV that most bass fishermen can't afford.
Must have been an old
unless
TV.
unless it was an old one.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was old, man. The new ones are so light.
Right. Let's get you a more modern TV, Bernie. Come on, bud.
Whew. He's too busy spending his summers at the St. Lawrence, right?
He could have bought a new TV if he could have fished the St. Lawrence. He probably would have cashed a check.
Right. Dang. Every year he does get up there. I was holding out for him, I think, as well for Drain the Lake, but that's
me too.
There's enough hammers to get you.
Say at least you can pick more people and Drain the Lake. Like it's not like it. Yeah.
Fair point.
Well, there's only one Bernie.
There is only one Bernie.
And he's gone.
The burn.
The bird. So, any other things you guys want to hit on here before we wrap it up for the evening?
Can't wait to watch it go down, man. I'm okay. Wait, one last question. Do you think I didn't hear 100% your first wind forecast. I know that people are saying it's going to blow, but it sounds like the consistent isn't horrible. But is there any chance? I mean, it's a northern fishery, like it gets big anyways. Is there any chance in today's age there's going to be any sort of delay or
Cancellation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, do they go straight to the St. Lawrence next week? Or is it
No,
2 weeks?
it's a week off, isn't there?
2020. It
can't
is
remember.
August 24th through 27th. So it's back to back.
All right, so I'm looking at the Sail Flow app right now. It's not gonna blow Thursday until the afternoon, like 2:00 on.
Okay.
Like,
so they'll go.
Hold on, 8 a.m. on Thursday. The light blue of her Champlain, like that's gonna be glass at 8 a.m. and then at 2 p.m. is gonna be gassing, like 20s.
Yeah, bud.
Yeah.
And then
But that-
Friday, go ahead.
That app is only accurate about 20 minutes before
Well,
the actual time.
Dude, I disagree.
This was-
Windfinder has been successful.
Oh
for
my
me.
God.
Windfinder Plus that
Windfinder-
you pay for is I especially looking at it.
I trust this more than I trust like my local weather.
It's 100%. I trust that more than anything else.
Like
I use Windy app and it works just fine.
Windy's decent. Like for instance, Sunday
I just
we
like
had
being able to see like, okay, if I have spawners in this cove, are they going to be affected? Like that's what's nice about the Windfinder is it shows on the lake where it's blowing.
so it's funny for the Douglas.
So that's
tournament that we won a
Windfinder
couple-
Plus.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just using the free one, and it's good.
The plus one though, dude, is $10 a year, and it just makes it so you can scroll. It adds a couple of the details, but
Oh, I like that. I'm gonna have to pay for that. But a couple weeks ago when we won that Douglas Derby, they're like, "Yeah, it's gonna be flat, calm out there all day." I'm like, 9 o'clock, it's gonna blow. And they're like, "No, the forecast says like 3 to 8 miles an hour southwest." I'm like, "You guys are for a rude awakening." You guys are like, "Yeah, I'm running to Dunkirk, which is like 50 miles down the lake." Another team ran like to Point Maitland, which is like 50 miles down the Canadian shoreline. I'm like, you guys are going to have a hell of a time getting back. And my entire game plan, because of the wind, was to fish right in front of Buffalo. I maybe went like 4 miles most. And by 10 a.m., there was 4-footers, even though the wind forecast said 1 foot or less. I was like,
the reason I trust it so much too is because a lot of these lakes aren't next to like where actually a city is like doing a forecast and that kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like you might be 90 miles away from where the people are talking about the weather is. So it's like nice to look like on this dot.
I got a good story because I was on Lake Mead, and if you guys have ever heard about Lake Mead,
well, that stuff doesn't count.
Yeah, it's the Virgin Basin, right? It's like where bass boats go to die. It was way up the Overton, and I looked at my Windfinder app, and I'm like, we're gonna die. And I had 4 fish, and I remember thinking like, we got to get back. And I had a buddy of mine who said, let's run back together if it gets bad. Windfinder said we were gonna die. We like a batten down the hatch, just like took all the crafts off, put an extra bungee cord over the trolling motor.
I love that
yeah,
stuff
and I just tightened my.
It's like scary in the moment, but I love it. Like going with your buddy, and you're like, "This is gonna be terrible."
And you're both laughing every wave.
We could die.
Oh, dude, my co-angler was crying before we left. I had him so scared. Oh my God. We get around the corner. It's like 48 miles, right? So it's not like you turn around and go back. It's glass calm. There's a wakeboard boat out there. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You can't turn around and go back. Like I had 4 fish. I weighed 4 in that tournament for that day. And I was like, oh, man.
Oh, dude, you can catch him
So ever since then, I burned back.
Everything was battened down. He wasn't unstrapping at all.
No.
Yeah, he's
Actually,
open the rods.
Actually, I went through the Narrows and came out. I said, yeah, we'll fish the ramp. And the first wave I hit after the Narrows, I think we were like 8 feet in the air. And I'm like, oh, they only missed it by like 8 miles. They missed it like 8 miles. Yeah. It was wind. It was just not in the same area. I'll just never forget my co-angler was like, man, we're going to die. We're looking at the Windfinder. We'll never make it. Yeah. Dead calm.
Dude,
flat.
I have come flying out of those Narrows before and then just like looked into an ocean. Like you're just like, wow. And then you come around a corner, you're like, oh my, like those are so tall.
Oh yeah. That happens here on Erie all the time. Like it'll be just absolutely gassing right down the lake, but you'll be on the Niagara River and the Niagara River is just like flat glass calm, no wind, and you run like underneath the Peace Bridge is where the river really funnels down, and you come out, and all of a sudden you're running up the river. You can't just like stop and turn around and go back. You have to go like real long because it's like a 12-mile-an-hour current that you're running through. That you're like, I'm gonna die as soon as you get to that Peace Bridge. It's like World War III out there,
Right?
And you're just like battle stuff. Like it's ridiculous. Like, and sometimes it'll be so big that you'll have the rollers coming through the current underneath the Peace Bridge. And you're driving, all of a sudden you just launch, and you're like, I'm dead, like because you're coming down nose first and that current, like. Oh, I hate that run. It's the worst.
Deacon's right though. Coming out of the Narrows, one of my buddies, he is an old FLW Tour pro. He said he came out one time and the wind's blowing at him, and he said it was just like it looked like freaking Beirut, right? And he said he could, over all that noise, he could hear the audible screaming of his co-angler. He's wailing. Ah! Goes, I couldn't hear anything, but I could hear this guy just bawling and like, yeah, I was just like, what did you do? And he goes, kept going. Like, what do you do?
If you stop, you get hurt. If you go fast, you get hurt. There's like no happy medium. You drive normal, you get hurt.
Get through it.
Yeah. Trim up and go slow. That's all you can do in 45 every big wave.
Right, exactly. 45 months and keep your bow up.
Yeah, and get soaked the entire way, but.
Yeah, just tell the poor guy that, hey, the tissues are already wet, so you're just gonna have to cry.
It's funny though. In like the last 3 weeks, I've had two. I felt like we're going to be near-death experiences on Lake Erie and the Niagara River because thunderstorms have literally just popped up out of nowhere. And one of them, we were like 9 miles out on Erie, and we had to get back. Oh no, that was on the Niagara River. That one was wild. Like. My client's reeling in a fish and all of our phones go off at once. It's like severe weather alert. I look at the radar. I'm like, there's nothing there. Like, we're fine till like 3:00. And all of a sudden he goes to make, I'm like, 10 more casts. We got to go. I turn around and it is pitch black. And I'm like, I got to go 9 miles to get to my truck into the storm. I'm like, we're going to die. Like, we're going to die. And I did 70 the whole way. And as soon, I was like, maybe 10 minutes, 12 minutes max. I got to the ramp in like 8 minutes. I got my boat on the truck in a minute and a half. Like I sprinted, backed it in, drove it on. And as I was putting on the back straps, a tree like 100 yards up in front of me literally snapped in half from wind and went flying across the parking lot. I was like, sorry guys, like that's my bad, but it came out of nowhere. Like,
was it hot though?
Oh, it was like 93. It was like 93 and just baking sun. And I knew they were coming, but like I was like, oh my God.
So I was down in Powell a couple of weeks ago, and I experienced the monsoons, and I didn't understand it. In the past, you always see the storm coming at you. You know what I mean? You can look at the radar, but when it's hot like that, they just bloom up. So the first time it'll be super clear, and then all of a sudden it's green. Within a half an hour, you better move your butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The heat creates that stuff. It comes up from funnels out.
Well, it's crazy though, because
that's going that way.
There's a huge band that went like 80 miles north, and I have like 4 or 5 different weather apps, and they all said like 3 to 3:30. So I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like if we leave here by 2:20, I can take my time, get to the ramp, 2:40, get the boat on, be driving home by 2:50. Literally, like it was 2:12 when my client hooked that fish, and at 2:15, I was like, "Guys, we gotta go!" Like, and it literally hit like 30 minutes before it said it was going to. Like the severe weather warning was for 2:45 in my area until like 3:30, and I think it literally hit at like 2:40. Like it was insane. I've never driven my boat so fast with the current in my life. Like.
What do you say? Like, hey, you want a picture? Like, you want to hold that up? Yeah. You got life insurance?
Yeah, pretty much. And they both have their phones out, like recording, and there's lightning crashing everywhere. Like, it was insane. Like, I don't know if you saw the reel I put up on my Instagram, Boomer. Like, it looked like I was in Oklahoma with the tornado bearing down on me. It was wild.
Ugh.
Like wall cloud, like 500 feet off the ground, just rolling in.
No fun.
No, whatever. So. Well, guys, it was an awesome show. And I I think St. Lawrence is next week, so we'll see you all again on next Monday night. And thanks to everyone who is tuned in this week. And we will see everyone tomorrow night for Tuesday Night Live. See you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.